Alopecia UK support groups, an introduction.
Here at Alopecia UK, we facilitate adult, teen and child peer support groups for anyone affected by alopecia. Many people are interested in setting up a support group for people in their local area, allowing those with alopecia as well as any partners, parents, close friends or family members to meet up for peer support. This video aims to help you decide if running an Alopecia UK support group is right for you. This presentation will take you through what peer support is, the types of Alopecia UK groups you could set up, what is in it for you, if the role is right for you, the time commitment involved, some extra things to consider, what support you'll receive from the charity, and finally, what the next steps are. So what exactly is peer support? In a nutshell, peer support is support provided by those who share a similar experience. At Alopecia UK, this is primarily what we facilitate. We do this through our support group network, our online peer support spaces such as our Facebook groups, our national events, and by individual support given by both phone and email. We do find that people being together in a shared space often leads to a feeling of support, whether that be sitting down in a cafe for a chat, going for a group walk, or even running an obstacle event together. When you get groups of people affected by alopecia together, they tend to end up chatting about alopecia. Whether that be talking about feelings, experiences, or practical tips, sharing all of this, and for some even just listening to others talk about it, can be really helpful. Peer support can therefore help people to feel more empowered to deal with their condition, feel less isolated, and be part of a supportive community who just get it. So, what are the types of Alopecia UK groups? We find that it's best to separate out the groups between adults, teens, and children. This is because these age groups tend to need or want different things from a group. How groups then run will depend on the group lead and what they're comfortable with, as well as taking into account who the group is aimed at. For adults groups, the basic level is finding a space where people can meet. Private is often best as it allows people to meet, gather and chat. However, we do encourage you to also get speakers in. For example, you could have a dermatologist who could do a question and answer session. You could have a makeup artist who could show people how to do eye makeup and eyebrows. Or you could have a wig focus session with perhaps a demonstration by a local salon. For children's groups, the focus often isn't even on alopecia. Many just enjoy being in a comfortable environment where they can have fun with others just like them. This support can happen in a very subtle way. More often than not, it's the parents that want a space to talk in more detail about alopecia, and often we encourage groups to provide a space for parents to gather together while the kids just play and have fun nearby. So for them, we encourage a private room, which various games or arts and crafts could be set up, or if available to you, perhaps a more open space for big ball games or sports. Many children's groups are also starting to facilitate some day trips to places like local theme parks, science museums and zoos. Finally, we have teens groups. These are still quite new for us and we're still very much finding the best routes for them. However, we do find that the teens mostly enjoy an activity of some kind. An example of this might be bowling or ice skating. So, what can being an Alopecia UK group lead mean for you? Support group leaders report a great sense of pride and satisfaction in facilitating some of these opportunities. And although challenging at times, the rewards make the effort worthwhile, and with experience, leaders can become more effective in facilitating positive life changes. At the end of the year, we will also provide you with a summary of all your data, where you can clearly see all of your group facts and figures. I bet you may even be surprised at the amount of people that you've managed to help over the course of a year. Another thing to know is that all Alopecia UK group leaders get a free ticket to attend our annual big weekend, where you can come along and meet face to face with some of your fellow volunteers. Here I'm going to read out some quotes from our current group leads as to why holding this volunteer role is so important to them. Despite support from family and friends, I needed to be around people who really got it. We are not just a support group. I'm proud to call these people my friends. I've seen people move towards acceptance from a starting point of distress, all of them crediting the group and the understanding they receive there, so it's rewarding to be able to help. The hardest part is persuading those who make contact to actually come along, but when they do, they are so glad they did. My Alopecia UK friends have helped me enormously in coming to terms with my alopecia. Today, paying that support forwards by giving a few volunteer hours each month to support others is important to me. I hope it will help create the smallest ripple effect of the happiness and contentment I feel since finding Alopecia UK. Is this volunteer role the right one for you? The skills we believe required to be a successful group leader are as follows. Admin skills. such as good organisation, the ability to manage an email inbox, along with the managing and sending in a small amounts of paperwork to Alopecia UK each month. Good people and group skills, including the ability to listen, a welcoming, confident and empathetic personality, and someone who is happy and able to take the lead and direct a group. Knowledgeable skills, in which you can share information and a personal experience of alopecia. And physical skills, such as access to the internet and a computer and the ability to use them. And finally, you will need to have the time required to fully achieve this role. Here I'm going to talk through a little bit more about the time commitment that's involved with facilitating a group. You'll need enough time each week to check into your inbox. Sometimes you'll have emails to respond to, which can take a little bit of time, and sometimes you won't have anything. But anything that you're not comfortable or able to answer can be forwarded on to the main staff at Alopecia UK to answer. You'll also need time to plan your meetings. Many group leads spend a bit of time at the start of each year setting up all of their meetings for the year ahead so that it can be done and out of the way. And then all they need to do is just send in little updates to us if they have any meeting amends, such as a speaker coming in. It is best practice to get your meetings advertised well in advance of them happening so that people can plan and get them in their diaries. Another time commitment is communicating with Alopecia UK. Good communication is really important. We can only help advertise your meetings and help get people there if you communicate with us. Additionally, in order to benefit from the Alopecia UK support and funding, we do need you to send in the data as we use this to monitor the network as well as to help with future funding bids in order to keep the support network going. You'll need the time to be able to advertise your meetings. The extent to which you advertise to get your group off the ground will depend on you. As well as the advertising that Alopecia UK can provide through our website, social media and newsletter, you can set your meetings up as events in the Alopecia UK Facebook group. You could also distribute flyers provided by Alopecia UK to local dermatology waiting rooms or places like wig salons and hairdressers. You may even be happy to do some media articles and feature in your local paper or radio. Overall, people will not just turn up. It takes some time to plug away at promoting the group so that people know it exists and then come along, and this does take some time. The coordination of your meetings is another thing. You'll need to be able to compile and send out communications to your members ahead of a meeting to remind them that it's on, as well as ideally a bit of a sum up afterwards. Typically this is done by email, however some group leads will also send out a group text, or they may have another Facebook group message or a Facebook group along with their email inbox. Finally, you will of course need the time to actually facilitate your meetings. These typically last around 2 hours for adults groups, and we ask that you run a minimum of 4 per year, with 6 being the recommended amount. For children's groups, we ask that you run a minimum of 2 with a maximum of 3, but these may last a little longer in time. Overall, we often say that the role of a support group lead takes on average 1 hour a week, but this will vary, with some weeks taking just a few minutes and others taking a few hours. So here are some considerations. It is important to consider whether you are physically and mentally well enough to facilitate and give good quality help. And by well, what we mean is, are you physically fit, for example, not exhausted or overexcited? And are you mentally fit, for example, are you not distracted in any way? It's also important to consider whether you're in a good place with your own journey with alopecia. Experiencing alopecia often brings up many emotions, and early on in that journey we can feel a lot of loss, grief and anger. It can be very upsetting and takes time to come to a more comfortable place with alopecia and be in a position whereby you can help others. As such, we ask that people only come forward to be a support group lead when they are in a good place with their own experience of alopecia. These considerations are to ensure that groups are run appropriately, but also to protect group leads. We don't want to put people in a role that is not right for them and then which may have a detrimental effect. What support can you get from the charity? We can provide advertising resources such as posters and flyers to distribute in your local area amongst businesses and within GP waiting rooms. In terms of budget, adult support groups currently have access of up to £300 a year, while children's support groups can access up to £500 a year. These funds can be spent on things like room hire, refreshments, speakers or workshop costs. Additionally, children's group funds could be spent on things like games, craft materials, or put towards activities and trips. We can also provide you with guidance on how to follow finance procedures and hints and tips on running a successful group. In 2019, we hope to have more training and webinars for you to be able to access, as well as a video library, alongside some group supervisions. So let's sum up. If you feel motivated to make a change for those with alopecia, have the right skills, ability and time to be a group lead, are in the right place emotionally, and can fulfil the requirements of becoming an AUK group lead, then we would absolutely love for you to come and join our team. So finally, the next steps. The next steps for you are to complete an expression of interest form, which you can find the link to below this video. If you meet the requirements and are accepted, we will send you information for applying for your DBS check and a volunteer agreement, along with the T's and C's for you to sign and return. In 2019, we also hope to have a support group basics video for you to watch. This video will go into a bit more detail about things such as how to manage your inbox and what to do with your paperwork, and can be a handy tool for you to come back to every now and again. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video and for your interest in helping others with alopecia. We hope to hear from you soon.